Many classic memes were recently auctioned off for big bucks by their owners as NFTs.
The question of meme ownership is a difficult one.
Meet Don Caldwell from Know Your Meme, a website dedicated to researching online viral content.
It's sort of like meme detective work.
Recently, Don and his team have been putting their encyclopedic knowledge of memes to good use, thwarting NFT fraud.
So here's the original and the fake. I'll zoom in real tight here.
So what kind of hard-boiled vigilante tactics do these meme detectives use?
No, we actually just use computers.
Saved onto a blockchain, NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, are minted by artists and then bought and sold online in curated markets like OpenSea, Foundation, and even at Sotheby's. NFTs are kind of like limited edition autographed virtual trading cards that allow for the tracking and monetizing of digital art such as GIFs, photos, videos, music, and yes, even memes.
The first time I heard about meme NFTs was when Nyancat creator Chris Torres sold Nyancat as an NFT for approximately 600,000 US dollars at the time. And when we saw that, we were just absolutely shocked. It was such a milestone in internet history.
This jaw-dropping sale triggered a meme gold rush.
All of these old meme stars and celebrities from years ago started coming out of the woodwork and started to mint and auction themselves or their work as NFTs.
But since an NFT is like a digital certificate of authenticity, its provenance is key. A meme NFT is only valuable if the creator or the person in the meme minted it. This is where Know Your Meme comes in. Not only do they manage an encyclopedia of close to 5,000 confirmed memes,
Here we go again.
they're the ones who can authenticate the true owner when it's time for it to be minted as an NFT.
Pinpointing the exact origins of where these phenomena come from can be quite challenging. A difference between traditional detective work and what we do is that we're dealing with online data that has a lot of metadata associated with it. We're able to trace things back and see how much engagement they've had, who their original creator is, who the original poster is a lot of the time, depending on the platform.
Reddit, with its archived posts, is easy to search. Same with Twitter. The ephemeral 4chan, not so much. Facebook is notoriously insular and doesn't play nice with Google, so the team might use CrowdTangle, TinEye, or their own proprietary dashboard to sleuth on social.
Tracking down something on YouTube can be more challenging. Reverse image search doesn't work with videos, so you have to sift through lots of episodes and YouTube uploads to find the exact moment that is taken for a meme. Sometimes we'll consult fan communities that are very familiar with the source material and ask for their assistance to discover where these memes come from sometimes.
Maintaining close relationships with meme creators and communities pays off in tips and leads. That's how the team was alerted that something was very wrong with the auction of a meme masterpiece.
Rage comics are another meme that comes from this old era of internet history. They were a very popular comic format. We discovered that there was an NFT of Me Gusta being auctioned off on the NFT Marketplace Foundation. So there were a number of alarm bells that went off when we began looking into this that made this clearly some sort of shady practice. The original Me Gusta image was an illustration done by May. So here's the original and the fake. I'll zoom in real tight here. So here you have all these squiggles and the lines get really thin and there's like shading. And then over here, everything's pretty much uniform in terms of darkness, right? So you can tell that it's been vectorized. A lot of Rage comics are made in MS Paint. People will use a mouse cursor to make these faces and they're very crude, usually just black and white. It loses this kind of level of detail in order to get this super high res version of it that's, you know, line art made of Bezier curves. So it's kind of got all the telltale signs of a vector art recreation of a raster image. So Adobe Illustrator has a tool known as live tracing that may have been used here. It takes a raster image and it traces over it and turns it into a vector image. Simple lines and curves that can then be scaled infinitely to any resolution. But they also take away details and they take away shading. But anyone who's used it before can tell when something's been vectorized versus something that's just been illustrated.
Apart from this forensic evidence, another clue was that the poser used May's dead name. That's when the Know Your Meme team reached out to her directly.
May responded that she was very surprised to find out that an NFT was being auctioned off, as she had not been the one to auction it off.
Platforms such as Foundation require that artists be invited before being allowed to mint their NFTs, so how did this faker slip through?
They had dug into her background, figured out that she had known certain people, and approached them acting as May in order to get their NFT minted and auctioned off. So after we realized that this was likely an imposter, we reached out to the marketplace that the NFT was being auctioned on and asked them about their vetting process and how they had determined that this was owned by the original creator. And later that day, the auction was removed.
May Oswald had this piece of advice.
Be careful with them meme kids. Only get your memes from trusted sources.
The work of a meme detective is never done, and soon the team would receive what would become their highest profile case yet.
So one day we were reached out to by this decentralized auction house known as Zora. They were working with the owner of Doge, Atsuko Sato, who lives in Japan. We also felt there was this importance with certifying the authenticity of NFTs after seeing this Megusta fiasco. So we offered to certify this Doge auction as authentic after verifying it with Atsuko. We knew her, and we had even interviewed her ourselves prior. So there were 8 photographs of Doge that were auctioned off on Zora, one being the most iconic Doge image, which sold for approximately $4 million at the time. In the case of Doge and Atsuko Sato, not only was she able to be rewarded for her contribution to culture, but she also donated a significant portion of the auction to charity.
All in a day's work for Know Your Meme. So is the Wikipedia of viral content becoming full-time NFT fraud investigators now?
It's hard to tell exactly what point in the phase we are, if this is just a bubble that's bound to pop. I would wager that it will be around for some years to come, as this has provided artists with a way to be rewarded for their contributions to culture in ways they didn't have before. I envision in the future that historians and anthropologists will be using Know Your Meme to figure out what was happening during this time. What was their sense of humor? What did they care about? In a sense, memes are this kind of lens into the soul of humanity.